Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for
Good morning. Why are you gay?
It's still the funniest thing that's ever been on the internet.
Welcome to Uncensored. Simon Kaggwa, Angler.
Tell me, Piers, why are you gay?
The biggest winner of 2025 and the biggest loser.
The biggest loser is the Coldplay CEO. That whole thing just blew up spectacularly.
Yeah.
So my biggest loser, those poor fishermen off the coast of Venezuela. They're just trying to catch some fish with some cocaine and heroin and crack.
My biggest loser was Rachel Zegler. I mean,
She
that
should
in
shut
and
up
of
about
itself is a
politics,
record.
but she is a talented, she's very talented.
She can't be talented at wiring her
I
jaw
don't know,
shut.
did you...
Your brother is obviously the most powerful, important, influential Catholic in the world.
I asked him to hear my confession, and I spilled all the beans to him.
How spicy were the beans?
That's what I want to know.
Everything short of murder and incest.
It's that special time of year again when we gather in front of the TV to eat, drink and have a jolly big argument about the year gone by. So before you all get there, we're once more gathering on the TV for a jolly big argument about the year gone by. And there's been quite a lot to argue about. We've got a new American Pope, the first ever, and a new US president. Not the first time we'd had him, who began the year with a revolution of common sense. He slashed the endless spectrum of infinite genders to simply man and woman, which was all a bit much for statesperson Justin Trudeau, who resigned as the wokest world leader in the history of peoplekind. Snow White sacked the Seven Dwarves and became the most hated movie of all time. And somehow that wasn't even the year's biggest screen disaster, as the legendary Coldplay Cutlers will surely agree. Vladimir Putin got the red carpet, Zelensky got a red face after an almighty dressing down for not dressing up. The famous fibber George Santos was sent to jail, as was the famous fiddler P. Diddy. Only one of them got a pardon, and George tells me that's because he's had more #1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100. The UK went mad about apparently fascist flags. The US went mad about an apparently fascist salute. The JFK Files were released in a triumph for transparency. The Epstein Files were not. A man called Big Balls emerged as the unlikely influence behind massive government cost-cutting. A man called Big John emerged as the unlikely voice of reason in a divided Britain. Bash! There was a MAGA civil war over just about everything, including briefly an actual war with Iran. Graham Linehan was arrested in Britain for mean tweets. A British mother was arrested for saying, well, as you well know, I'm not allowed to say it. The Oxford English Dictionary made rage bait its word of the year, which fittingly enraged me because it's clearly 2 words. And the whole year was, of course, dominated and overshadowed by the brutal murder of Charlie Kirk. As we know, he loved a debate, and with so much to look back on and so much to look forward to in 2026, that's exactly what we're going to do now. Joining me on the panel is Uncensored contributors James Barr and Esther Krakue, Gary Buechler, better known as Nerdrotic, author of The Case for Cancel Culture, Ernest Owens, and Ben Ferguson, the co-host of The Verdict, with Ted Cruz. Well, I couldn't wish for better people, really, for this and this particular gathering of festive merrymakers. So the questions for the panel, and I'll start with you, if I may, Ben Ferguson. Your big prediction for 2026?
Donald Trump's approval rating will go up. I think he's going to actually make sure that the narco-terrorists are taken out. And my big prediction within that is he's probably going to start hitting targets on land, taking out the terrorists, which I think the majority of Americans are going to be in favor of.
OK. James Barr, do you agree?
Wow. I was just here to give you my sassy opinions, my sassy gay opinions.
I would love to hear those.
I mean, his approval rating is up and down.
Mainly down at the moment, has to be said.
I mean, he's doing a lot, isn't he? It's America first, but there's a lot going on, and I'm not sure I don't really want to comment on. Piers, I'd love to say congrats to you, actually, for coming for him the other day. I thought that your post about him was brilliant and brave. Actually.
Well, actually, I don't think it was either of those things. I criticised him over what he said about the brutal murder of Rob Reiner. But then I've often criticised Trump over the years. We're in a weird place now where anyone who can be friendly with someone but criticise them is seen to be a little bit odd or very brave and bold. Why? Yeah. I've done that my entire life with you guys.
Yeah, that's our
Never
friendship.
mind anything else, right? We're all friends, but I've had run-ins with all of you. I don't think it's either brave or bold or any of those things. I'm a friend of Donald Trump's. I have been for 20 years, but I've regularly attacked him and I've regularly praised him when perhaps others didn't want me to. To me, there's nothing courageous about it. The only thing I would say to everybody is it's just better to be intellectually honest, not least to yourself. right? Just call things as you see them. Don't let the tribe dictate to you what you should be thinking. And if facts change on your side, if you have a side, then go with the facts. It's a lot healthier.
But I think that is brave.
Translation, Piers, what you're really saying is if you haven't yelled at any of us, then we're not really your friends. So
Yes.
I'm in for that. I totally get that. But that's what it means. If I haven't screamed at you, yelled
Ben,
at you, and
you know
sent
what?
a mean tweet at you, then we're not actually going to ever be friends.
Do you know, I've probably shouted more at you, Ben Ferguson, in the last 15 years than anyone else on this panel. I was shouting at
feel
you.
the love.
I was shouting
I feel
at
the
you
love.
back in the CNN days.
We were both younger, and your hair wasn't as gray.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
But at least it's my own hair colour, which is another question. Let me come to Esther Krakue. Lovely to see you.
Lovely to
Because you're
see
spending a
you
lot of
too.
time in America now.
Yeah.
You're back here for a bit. Great to see you in London. What do you think? What's your big prediction for 2026?
I think that England will win the World Cup. I hope
Do
so.
you?
I really like. I like.
okay.
I like
Well,
the
I'll
World
tell you
Cup
what.
years.
I'll tell
so
you what.
I always look forward to that.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned the World Cup because I'm going to be watching this very, very closely. Let's take a look at the predictions market with Polymarket. Spain is predicted to have a 15% chance of winning the World Cup. They're the favourites. France is at 13%. England on 12%, so they're all pretty close. Argentina, the current World Cup champions, 11%. Then Brazil, Portugal and Germany all in the single digits. I mean, it's going to be an amazing tournament. England have a great team.
Yeah.
There's no question. There won't be climate issues, so that won't be an excuse. What we are going to see is you're going to see the last World Cup for Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
The two greatest, in my view, to ever play the game. I have Ronaldo ahead of Messi. Others have different. But it's going to be an amazing tournament to watch these two great titans bow out. I think we can all agree, and sorry about this, Ben, that America have two hopes of winning the World Cup. No hope and Bob hope. But I did like Donald Trump recently.
I have a very American question.
Go ahead.
Can there be a tie in the World Cup? Because I don't like going to sports where there's no winner, and that's the problem with y'all's football.
Yeah, you can. In fact, in the early stages, in regular time, there'll be we call it a draw. But I did like the fact that Donald Trump recently said it's time that we called what you offensively call soccer football, because it came along a long time before your football, and you get a new name for your sport, because your sport is basically rugby with padding and helmets.
Yeah.
Because you're all a bunch of girls'
I'm willing to listen to this
That's really
as soon as you guys stop having ties in a damn game. Like, no one wakes up in the morning, America's like, let's go watch a game where no one's going to win. Like, that's insane.
Well, I'll
That
tell
is
you this,
totally
Let me tell you
insane
the
to me.
best one of all for Americans is the cricket, right? So we've got the Ashes series at the moment. Now, there have been 2 victories for Australia, but in an Ashes series, there are 5 matches, okay? Each one lasts up to 5 days. Each day is 7 to 8 hours of play. So you can end up with 200 hours of play, and the score can be 0-0 at the end of it. And that is why Americans will never play cricket or be interested, because they cannot get their heads around a sport that could end up with 0-0. Let me go to Nerdrotic, waiting patiently. Your predictions, I mean, particularly in the movie world, because there were some shocking moments in 2025 of wokeism trying to wreck everyone's fun, but some outbreaks of, good stuff as well. What do you think is going to happen next year?
I think it's going to be more the same as basically Hollywood kicked the can down the road for way too long, staying with woke way too long. And now they are trying to adjust midstream, and they're finding it really difficult, because once we get past the woke, we have a much larger problem. Aside from AI, we have creative bankruptcy. We have all the major releases, the tentpole releases that drive the theaters are all some sort of
Remakes.
requel, midquel, remake, a live action remake of an animated film that's actually just animated, and they aren't really pushing the envelope. They're not being innovative anymore. And
do you know what, Nerdrotic? You know what?
AI.
I was reminded of this by the death or the murder of Rob Reiner. Awful thing to happen, obviously. But I was reminded of his extraordinary body of work when he had a run of smash hit movies, one after another. But they were all different genres, right? A Few Good Men, When Harry Met Sally,
Princess
Stand
Bride.
by Me, right? All these amazing films which have become absolute classics, one after another. And I remember thinking, where are any of those kind of movies now? Where is the great, brilliantly written sitcom, rom-com? Where is the great drama like A Few Good Men? Where is the poignant film like Stand By Me? And the truth is, they are in very small supply now.
They are, and that shows the health of the ecosystem of Hollywood and the entertainment capital of the world is we don't have comedies anymore. Like, what was the last great comedy? And all of those are being pretty much shoved off on streaming now, and your middle of the road film is just made into a streaming series that's purely for content. Where are the great directors?
I'll even say
Piers?
this as well. Where are the coming of age films? I mean, no one wants to tell a story of what actually growing up looks like anymore, because everyone thinks growing up, you're questioning whether you should be taking
nobody
puberty
growing
blockers,
up actually knows how to grow up.
Or like wearing makeup as a boy at the age of 10. Like, everyone is trying to tell a different story about coming of age.
Here's my prediction.
They're so scared.
Here's my prediction.
You mean wokeism killed films, Piers? Is that what we're saying?
I'll tell you what,
everybody's afraid
Ben,
to make good movies because they're afraid of the jokes.
Well, I'll tell you, here's the cavalry is coming in this way, I think. My favourite thing on TV at the moment is Landman, right? Which is absolutely brilliant.
Amazing.
It's brilliant.
Brilliant show.
And it's written by the genius that gave us Yellowstone. And the beauty of them is they don't preach about woke bullshit. They're proper, old-fashioned, the men have sex with women, they're all drinking, they're all taking drugs, they're all having fun. But things are being blown up left, right, and centre.
Don't forget, Piers, they rip on The View.
It is gloriously inappropriate, right? In every possible way. And it's middle America, and it's real people having real lives, right? And I think you're going to see a lot more of this. I think people are going to look at the massive success of Landmine, Yellowstone, what's the one about the hunting wives on Netflix? Fantastically inappropriate. They're all lesbians, but they're having a great time. And I just think you're going to see...
So you only want to see men drinking, eating lamb, and lesbians?
We'll do an unreconstructed Brokeback Mountain sequel just for you.
I would love a reboot.
Just for you, James. Ernest.
You can be the spitter.
Oh, please. Let me bring Ernest in. Ernest, how are you?
I'm good. I was just going to say I was surprised no one said anything about any Sydney Sweeney films.
Well, she's a good example. Well, some of them are shit. Some of them are good.
I only watched Sydney Sweeney.
Ernest, what's your big prediction, Ernest, for next year?
I think MAGA is going to implode. It's already happening, but it's going to really implode next year in a big way. It's very obvious as we speak right now. Republicans are breaking from the House in disagreement over health care. That's happening as Republicans try to take the last subsidies that we have of healthcare in America for everyone, whether they're Democrats or Republicans. And I think this anger that people are having with Trump and even within MAGA itself is going to implode at the midterms next year.
Do you know what? I find myself in a very unusual position of thinking you might be right. I can tell by Ben Ferguson's fixed grin that a little part of him is thinking, you know what, Ernest might be onto something here, because it definitely.
Piers, I've never asked you to let me come back on your show publicly. Please, 1 year from now, can I do this show?
Yes.
And I'm going to look at both of you,
and
I'm going to be like, you had no idea what you were talking about. Sign me up.
But I do think MAGA's having an identity crisis, and I think the catalyst for it was the Epstein Files was the catalyst for it. But you're now seeing it.
Elon Musk.
A lot of it, yeah, I agree. I think, Ernest, unusually, your political antennae seem to be a bit on the money here, which is very unusual for all of us.
They're fighting, even within their own cabinet. Like, they're backstabbing each other.
They're not fighting in the cabinet,
They are really backstabbing each other. They don't have. No. They're supposed to be in a season of winning.
Let's not over.
And they're not getting anything done.
All right, we're trying to do a Christmas special. Let's not overdo the politics, but we'll definitely bring Ben Ferguson back after the midterms, because I suspect we're going to see a bit of a bloodbath. Now, one of the most surprising controversies of this year, involving the F word, was inspired in no small part by a 2012 interview on Uganda morning television, which has become one of the most popular internet memes of all time. Here's a reminder.
We bring in the studio this morning one of the gay rights activists, Mr. Should I call you Mr? Pepe Julian Onzima. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for
Good morning.
Me. Morning to you.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
Yes, Simon Kaggwa and Njala's interview on the Morning Breeze show went viral again this year, thanks to a bit of promotion from Tucker Carlson.
It's still the funniest thing that's ever been on the internet. But why is it funny? And why does almost everyone find it funny? Left, right, straight, gay. Well, because it's kind of the key question. And it's kind of the question that no one in the United States is allowed to ask. Why are you gay?
Well, Tucker even brought it up in my interview with him last month.
You talk to a Pakistani cab driver and you're like, why are you gay? And they will start laughing because they've watched the video and they're like, I'm not gay. I'm a man.
What's it got to do with masculinity?
Ask a single Briton, why are you gay? They'd be like, well, I'm not gay, but it would be okay if I was.
Well, I'm delighted to say that joining me now is the Ugandan broadcaster and interrogator, Simon Kaggwa. Angler, welcome to Uncensored.
Oh, pleasure to be with you, Piers. How are you?
You've been described, Simon, as the Piers Morgan of Uganda. Do you take that as a compliment or not?
Oh, that's quite humbling, though ridiculous.
No, look, your life has changed dramatically since that clip went viral. You now have your own YouTube channel. You're hugely famous. You're probably Uganda's most famous person. Were you expecting the reaction that you had?
To be quite honest, to me, it passed off as one of those ordinary interviews on a good day at the peak of a very controversial subject when Uganda wanted to introduce the Anti-Homosexuality Act. So I was only curious to weigh in the conversation, and that's why I invited a lady, pardon me. That's when I invited Pepe Julian Onzima.
Right, and you listen. I like your direct style of interviewing. We actually have James Barr with us, who is probably one of the most famous gay people in the country here. Have you got a question for him, Simon?
Why is he straight?
Oh, hi, mate.
Do you have a question for me, Simon?
Well, it's nice connecting with you. Welcome to Uganda.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Simon, what question do you have for James?
Should I call you Mr. or Mrs.?
Well, my name is, I guess my pronoun is he, so you can call me Mr.
He guesses.
Why are you gay?
I really love sucking dick. Why are you straight?
Oh, my God.
Why are you straight?
That's a good question. Why are you straight?
Why are you straight?
Why are you straight,
I would love
Simon?
to know.
Why am I straight?
Yeah. Why did you choose? Why did you?
Sorry, is there a delay on the line?
There is a delay. There is a delay.
Just struggling.
There is a delay. So Simon, it's a very good question. Why are you straight? I mean, when did you make that decision?
That's a good question.
I was born straight, and I've enjoyed being straight. I have no other option.
Right, but two members of my panel were born gay.
Yes.
And have no option, and over here we think that's completely normal.
I think Pastor Martin Semple would disagree, but.
Oh, wow.
What do you think of that?
Is there another delay?
Simon, have you been stunned into silence?
I think.
Might be a delay.
I think Simon's delay is due to the fact that he's literally living in the 1950s. Simon, I'd love to know, do you perform the straight obligations with your partner?
I think he does.
Yes, and there is evidence to that. I got 4 kids and a very beautiful wife, the most gorgeous, actually. And I have a crush on pretty ladies.
Really?
Really?
Does your wife mind that you have a crush on pretty ladies?
Unapologetically, yes.
Well, you wanted to call me Mrs. Do you have a crush on me? Am I a pretty lady to you?
Oh, damn. You can't be a Mrs.
Can you ask Piers if he's gay? Because I've been wondering for a while.
Yeah, please
I
ask
think his
Piers
4
Morgan.
kids
I need
would say
a clean.
no.
I need this to go viral. Can you please ask Piers Morgan the exact same question
Please ask
that
Piers,
you did, and I want it to go viral.
We've
So
been
you want to
talking
be
about it for a
quiet?
while.
I'm directing right now. No one
gay?
talk. Okay, go.
Come on, Simon.
Come on.
Ask me the question.
Tell me, Piers, why are you gay?
Do you know what? I like to remain ambiguous about my sexuality because there's a lot of money in the pink pound, Simon. I really recommend you explore your sexuality in public.
I find it quite inevitable that I have to identify as a man. While at the same time, of course, we are in this era where you got to be tolerant, you got to be You got to be social and interact with people of different orientation. It remains a very contentious issue, though.
Well, it does in Uganda. It's not contentious in the UK, and it's not contentious in the United States, actually. We don't really have a problem with being...
Well, having grown up in a very conservative environment, we're still grappling with acceptance to the new norm, what you call the new norm.
Out of interest, Simon, what would you do if one of your kids said they were gay?
I would collapse.
No, you would say, why are you gay, surely?
Why are you gay?
You say, why are you making that decision?
Why are you gay?
Those are your, no, you made those.
It's written,
Who's making gay
it's
kids?
written all over me. I think they would even be cautious.
I got to say, I would love to be...
The only difference, Piers,
I would love to be there for that conversation.
He would say, son, why are you gay?
Oh, no.
Right.
no.
Simon, we've got to leave it there. It's been great having you on Uncensored, and I appreciate you entering to the Christmas spirit with our debate. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Simon.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic.
If your children need any
Good
advice
to be
coming
with
out,
you,
please
and
give me a
have
call.
a lovely time.
All going back
All right,
in.
take care, Simon, and have a Merry Christmas to you. Today's show is sponsored by Oxford Natural, makers of the Optimum Day and Optimum Night all-natural supplements. Thousands of Brits and Americans are already taking them with incredible results. Optimum Day boosts your energy and supports weight loss throughout the day. Optimum Night helps you relax and get deep, refreshing sleep. They have countless success stories, including from some very familiar faces. England legend Michael Owen, who lost 40 pounds, AFTV's Robbie, who lost more than 100 pounds. To watch their full stories and many more, scan the QR code on your screen or visit oxfordnatural.com/Piers. And here's the best part. Use the code Piers and get 70% off your first order. Yes, 70% off with the code Piers. James, I know you've got to leave us in a few minutes, so let me come to you with the next part of this, and you can answer first. The biggest winner of 2025 and the biggest loser?
I mean, for me, I think the biggest loser is the Coldplay CEO.
Yeah.
The Coldplay cuddling, and also just Coldplay in general, because I think they felt incredibly awkward about that. I know Chris Martin felt terrible. And I mean, you're meant to feel safe at a Coldplay concert, and that whole thing just blew up spectacularly.
Yeah.
And my biggest winner, well, I guess Taylor Swift is a big winner.
Yeah.
I think also Meghan Markle.
Did you watch that clip of Taylor Swift giving all her crew the bonuses?
It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, she gave them literally
Very cool. And I don't even like her music, but she's awesome.
She gave them $175 million worth of bonuses.
So
even the truck drivers got 50 grand each, right?
It's really interesting because you know, you don't do that to your panelists, Piers.
No.
That would be lovely.
Don't worry, I'm waiting for my
Yeah,
check.
we're waiting for our big bag of cash.
No. My bonus to you is that I'll have you back on next year. What could be a greater gift? And who's your
Thank you.
Who's your biggest? You said Meghan Markle's one of the biggest winners.
I think Meghan Markle is going to run for president in 2026.
Oh, God, I hope
so we're moving on from MAGA to Mega.
So.
That's the plan.
Oh, from MAGA to Mega.
The running mate is going to be the guy who says, "Why are you gay?"
All right, well, listen, James, I appreciate you coming on. I know you've got to go, so thank you very much indeed. We'll let you go.
No, Christmas.
Let me come to Nerdrotic. Your biggest winners and losers of this year?
Wow, I have given this no thought, but I will say the biggest loser in my sphere anyway is for Hollywood would be Hollywood. They had a horrible year. They had an October that was the worst box office for them in 30 years without adjusting for inflation. AI is coming. They're feeling all the consequences of the ill-timed and stupid strikes that they went on at the same time with the WGA and the Screen Actors Guild. And they're facing the consequences of also pissing off half the country for about 5 years straight consistently.
Yeah, I agree. And who would your winner be of the year?
Oh man, Taylor Sheridan. He keeps cranking out hit after hit.
Yeah.
Paramount somehow let him go, and he just made a huge deal. And I don't know what that does for the future of some of my favorite shows right now, including Landman. But he is the biggest winner by far.
I think he's a genius, that guy, and I think the stuff he does just resonates so well.
Whatever country gets it.
Yeah, that's 100%, and there's a lesson there for everyone. Don't sneer at half your audience. Right? Why would you? All right. Well, Ben, let me come to you. Your winners and losers of 2025.
So my biggest loser, is those poor fishermen off the coast of Venezuela. They're just trying to catch some fish with some cocaine and heroin and crack and fentanyl, and they're just getting blown up. So that's probably my biggest loser of the year is those poor fishermen down there that, somehow look like they're just running drugs with 7 engines on the back.
What if some of them actually are fishermen?
They're not. They're not.
How do you know?
I've been fishing a lot. You don't fish with cocaine and fentanyl. You don't need 7 engines on the back of your boat to get to the fish.
I know people that do exactly that. That's how they get through the long nights.
Yeah, no, this is you're going into conspiracy theory land. They're hitting narco terrorists. I'm so glad it's happening to them, and I'm glad that the drugs are getting blown up. 300 Americans, and it's just in America, die every day from overdoses coming from those boats. It's also going to Europe, and it's killing people. We would never allow a plane crash a day to be acceptable by terrorism. Why are we allowing it with narco terrorism in America alone?
Okay, and who's your big winner of the year?
My big winner is liberal cities in America that have crime rates that are dropping to all-time lows in my lifetime. Washington, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, New Orleans, Chicago. What they're seeing with law and order coming back to these cities because the president is truly saving lives. And I think that's actually the biggest winner, even though some of the people there don't even realize it yet.
And out of interest, I'm going to come so I'll come back to you, Ben, because I want Ernest. I think you've got a loser is actually a political figure. Who is it?
My loser is J.D. Vance.
See, that's interesting because Polymarket have J.D. Vance as the lead contender to win the 2028 presidential election with 32%, followed by Gavin Newsom on 18%, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on 8%, and Donald Trump on 4% because he keeps suggesting he may run again. I don't think he will. But on that point, Ben, before I come back to Ernest for his winner, is J.D. Vance a shoo-in, do you think, to replace Trump on the Republican ticket or not?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I think I've said this for a while. Careful what you wish for. When you get too close to the sun, sometimes you get burned. And J.D. Vance he's going to have to figure out how to become his own man, his own candidate, while also not making Donald Trump and the base of Trump angry and not being overshadowed. But I think you're going to see a robust, wide open Republican field. I do not believe it's going to be a coronation at all.
Do you know who I think the most impressive operator is in that cabinet? I think it's Marco Rubio.
He's a silent sleeper. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Piers, you remember this when you said Rubio for a second? This is the guy that grabbed water and was shaking. Remember that?
Yeah.
And the pause there like this. Talk about the guy who just completely reinvented himself. They should do a Harvard study and teach the 2.0 Marco Rubio. He went from almost not even running for re-election as a senator to now look at what he's doing as Secretary of State. It truly is a political case study and how to reinvent yourself. And I got to give him credit and his team. They've done an amazing job.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, and who's your big winner then, Ernest?
Not that I personally agree with all the tactics, but I would say the Democratic Socialists, they got Mamdani in there. He is the mayor of
I think him alone, actually, it's indisputable that he is one of the big political winners of the year. And it's been fascinating.
I would say that their coalition, though, because it's not even just him. It's beginning to stretch on a conversation nationally based on the economic state we're in. He's opened that door for a larger conversation, and there's starting to be people in other cities across the country that are also picking that up. So I would say Democratic
there's a real peril. I mean, apart from the fact he's a massive Arsenal fan, which I do like that about Mamdani. He's a genuine Arsenal fan. He knows all the players, all the history. I love that. But it's going to be, in a way, what he does in New York may end up being the referendum for the Democrats going into 2028. If he turns things around in New York and he turns out not to be the devil incarnate that he's been painted by the right, then that's going to be...
crime is going down in cities.
Let me finish. I'm just going to say, if he turns out to be successful, that could be a real green light for them to choose a progressive candidate. But conversely, if it all goes to hell in a handcart in New York under Mamdani, it could have the opposite effect. I still think the Democrats have to find somebody. Obviously, he can't run because he's not an American citizen. But I think they've got to find somebody just a bit more to the center. They've got to find.
I also want to add this real quick. I want to say this real quick. The crime across those cities were going down before Trump came in there. I live in Philadelphia.
DC,
you couldn't feel it. New York is a hellscape. I'm
and
sorry.
he is not going to
You couldn't feel it.
Crime has been
And I
going
say
down in
this-
Philadelphia
I say
before
this as
that.
someone who's been
It
to
was
New York
going
many
down
times.
in
It feels
Baltimore
extremely unsafe as a
without
woman.
him. It's been going on in other
They were
cities.
lying
I'm
about
sorry-
the
I'm
crime
sorry to
stats
say
in
this, but
DC.
you couldn't
Came
feel
out
it.
yesterday.
Points, but we need to stick with some facts because in Baltimore, crime is going down without that. In Philadelphia,
Well, look,
crime is going on
ultimately,
without that.
the
Sure, it's going down
main
without
thing.
that. So I just
hold
want
on.
to say that.
The main platform that
Sure.
these democratic socialists, or the main issue that they're campaigning on, is the cost of living, which is basically going to be the do or die for the Republican Party at this point. Now, there are some indications that energy prices are going to come down drastically next year. We'll have to wait and see on that, especially with fuel prices and all of that. But basically, if Donald Trump and the Republicans don't get a handle on the cost of living and the cost of housing, which is the number one issue for Americans,
it is always
they're toast.
it is always the economy, stupid.
Exactly.
People can pretend other things, but it is always the economy, and Trump's got a lot of work to do, particularly in the run-up to the midterms. He's got to get the economy back on track in the way that he promised. You can launch all the tariff wars and everything else. I saw the merit, the argument, understood what he was trying to do. But if the impact is on the average American, when they go and buy their week's shopping in a negative way, they ain't going to buy it, and they're not going to vote for it. So it'll be very interesting year. Okay, Esther, your winners and losers for the year.
So my biggest loser was Rachel Zegler, who's...
Really?
I mean, her mouth is the opposite of the Midas
she
touch.
was brilliant in Evita. I went to see the first night in London. She was absolutely fantastic.
Comeback year. From Snow White to
but the thing is,
comeback of the
it's
year.
very rare for a single person to cost the studio hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean,
She
that in
should
and
shut
of
up about
itself is a
politics,
record.
but she is a talented. She's
She
very
is,
talented.
but that's what makes her a loser, because she knows she's talented. She just
can't.
can't be talented at wiring her jaw
I don't know.
shut.
Did you see the
who's
Hunger
your
Games
winner?
movie she was in? She wasn't very good in that.
Well,
No, she was great. I've got to say, Evita, she was fantastic. Who is your winner?
the
Esther?
ghost of the world's most famous pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, who we could not escape this year. I mean, he deprinced a prince, which is I think some sort of new record.
And by the way, there is a long way to go with these leaks from the
Exactly.
Epstein Files. You know, you think it's already taken down Prince Andrew, his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson. They've been basically expunged from public life. It took down Lord Mandelson, the new UK ambassador to Washington. He had to go. And that's just some of the early leaks from these emails. We haven't seen the half of it. We haven't seen probably a tenth of it. There are a lot of famous people sweating this Christmas, I can tell you. And so I totally agree. They should bloody sweat.
Exactly.
And I want to know exactly who they are and what they did and all the lies they've told probably about their association with him. Really interesting, because to me, the Epstein thing comes down to this. Those who disowned him when he got convicted for being a paedophile, that's one thing. Those who carried on consorting with him and partying with him and doing business with him, that's a very different thing. You can't
very different.
You can't claim plausible deniability if you knew he was a convicted paedophile. But we will see. We'll see. I mean, they're all the deadline for these files is, I think, 3 days, isn't it? So we'll find out.
Yeah, Friday.
So they may even, as we're talking, they may even be out. You've seen their vibrant ads illuminating billboards and train stations for many years. Now it's time you actually saw the show. Shen Yun is celebrating its 20th anniversary, a dazzling run which has seen iconic performances at iconic venues like the Kennedy Centre, the London Coliseum and the Sydney Opera House. Each season tours to more than 200 cities worldwide. You'll see classical Chinese dance, a live orchestra and stunning animated backdrops which bring to life 5,000 years of Chinese civilization. World-class performers in flawless costumes tell a story of myths, legends, warriors and heavenly realms, all set to stunning music. It's been described as inspiring, uplifting and life-affirming. And if you're looking for an unforgettable gift for your family, I really recommend that you check it out. Visit shenyun.com/peers to waive all ticketing fees when you order. That's shenyun.com/peers. Let's go to the next question, which is Pope Leo. So we're going to bring a new guest in here. The Pope Leo XIV will soon deliver his first Christmas message as the first ever American Pope. Now, I couldn't get him to do this show, unfortunately, but I'm very pleased to say we have the second best, which is the Pope's brother, Louis Prevost. Welcome back to Uncensored. It's lovely to see you.
Everybody.
Thank you. Glad to be back. Glad to talk to you again.
What has it been like for you to be the Pope's brother this year, this momentous year for your family?
To say it's been life-changing is putting it mildly. It's been a whole new experience, obviously, not just from things like this, where people are after us to talk to them and talk about the Pope or how we are as a family still, but just all around, everything from my own behavior as a Catholic. I've gone back to the church more so than I've always been Catholic, but not the best. But since he's been made Pope, it's awoken me, and I've come back to the church.
Really? How interesting.
The popularity. It's been quite a change. Yes. When you realize maybe I haven't been the best. Now my brother's there, and I see it's unfortunate, but it's a way of life. It's like when I'm here with you. People see how I act, that reflects on him as the Pope, and I don't want to certainly shine a bad light on him, or have people continue to say I'm kind of like the black sheep of the family. Going on, and I get a lot of heat. I know some of your guests have been talking about it. You probably are aware. I'm pretty much a MAGA kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of heat from all over the world for being that. I get letters in the mail saying I should change my ways. Oh, I'm a horrible person for supporting Trump, this and that. And, your Pope, your brother, the Pope, would be ashamed of you. You're going to burn in hell. That stuff never used to happen when he wasn't who he was.
Right.
But so now I have to take that into account. And, behave, not that I'm bad or evil or do horrible things, but it just hit me subconsciously that, maybe I ought to change my ways, go back to church and start, being more Catholic, being more observant, and then being, shall I say, less hostile to some people that I don't agree with. I've toned down my tweets and my Facebook posts because they always catch fire, end up on the news saying the Pope's brother said, and the Pope hears it, and then I hear it from him and my other brother about, can you please not be so vocal about things, or so negative, or
every
so
family's
offensive.
Got one. You're the guy. It's okay.
Yeah.
Piers is that guy.
Right. Yeah.
I'm that guy. You got good company here.
I can identify too.
He
There
wants
you
to
go.
be more civil. He wants to be
but
more
actually, on a serious, I think it's really honest of you to say that, Liz. But on a serious point, your brother is obviously the most powerful, important, influential Catholic in the world. He must be delighted that you've come back to the church so fulsomely.
Yeah.
I would imagine so. I mean, we haven't talked about that kind of thing. I'm pretty sure he knew, I wasn't the best Catholic. I left home before my other two brothers. They're a lot closer together than I am to them. Because I was off in the Navy. They were still, I think, in high school or just starting college. So I missed a lot of stuff with them growing up. And, the thing they remember most is probably me beating up on them all the time.
That means you're a good big brother.
That drove them. That's right. That drove them to be closer together. So they talk pretty much every day. I get to talk to my brother, the Pope, about once a week.
Right.
They include me in their conversations just to be, civil and keep the family together as best as possible. But
out of interest, Lewis, out of interest, what do you have this weekly conversation with your brother, but he's now the Pope. So what do you talk about, given the context of this extraordinary role he now has?
And don't tell us the weather.
Well, you'd be surprised. There's very little talk about politics or papal things, duties. He will tell me, like before he made his trip to Turkey and Lebanon and the Middle East, he told us he was planning to do that, so we knew that ahead of time before that came out. But most of the time, it's just literally family stuff, like how are you, how are you feeling, is the job getting you down, are you doing all right, are you surviving? I mean, that's a big step from what he was doing before.
Yeah.
As basically a missionary. He was a bishop in Peru for one of the dioceses, Chulacanes, I think, or Chiclayo. I'm not sure. I don't remember. And now all of a sudden he's the head of the whole church. He's got a lot of duties. The only time we get to that when we do talk is late at night for him, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, right before he goes to bed, because he's done working. But
I've got to say, Lewis,
yeah,
I've got to say about your brother. I've never met him. I hope that changes. I'd love to meet him. I'd love to interview him. But I've been, as a Catholic myself, I've been so impressed by him as a pope. I mean, to be the first American pope brings with it enormous pressures, right? Just never mind anything else. To be the head of the Catholic Church brings enormous pressures.
Right.
He just has a serenity about him and a confidence and a sort of calmness and a wisdom and intelligence way beyond his experience of doing this job. And I've just found him really impressive as the Pope, I have to say.
It is. He's. I kind of knew when he did get elected. To me, knowing his background, where he'd been, the previous positions he's held in the Augustinian order, and just in the church in general, even up through when Pope Francis elevated him to cardinal, that he had a background with people on all levels, all political sides. Different countries around the world. He's been pretty much everywhere. I thought I was to a lot of places, but he's been all over the place. He just had the background for it. He has the personality for it. He's got the patience of a saint. He's got the ability to listen and to actually hear and understand what people are saying, and then to talk back to them so that in a way that they can understand. And it's just, again, something about him that we saw way back when he was a little kid. There was just something special about the way he talked, walked, interfaced with people.
Cool. Yeah.
Just incredible from almost day one.
Amazing.
And you knew, we didn't know, but when you have multiple people and your brother's in like third grade, second grade, third grade, and the nuns are saying, you're going to be Pope one day, and people in the neighborhood, same thing, knowing his proclivity to be, holy and play priest and whatnot. It was just written all over the place that he was something special and was definitely had a calling. And this is where it ended, where it brought him to, and he dragged us with him, kicking and screaming. Sometimes
yeah, but
we don't like the fact.
I love the fact, Lewis, that he doesn't know yet that you've come back to the church so wholeheartedly. I think we'll have to send him this conversation, because if you're the Pope and your own brother, your older brother, has come back to the church, I think that's a powerful thing. That's a big thing for
Piers,
a brother to hear.
Lewis is, by the way, in a club, a very, very, very small club. Lewis, I just need you one day to change your profile description as I've whooped the Pope's ass. I just need that one day up there, because not many people can say that they beat the Pope's ass. You did. You should just stick that in your LinkedIn profile for a day.
Given we all have a request to make, I would like to say that I'm a fan of Arsenal Football Club in the UK, Lewis, and we're currently top of the Premier League and top of the European Champions League. And if you did, in your next conversation with your brother, have an opportunity to suggest there could be some kind of papal blessing to ensure we win one or both of those titles, I would be personally very grateful.
Who else is in the competition?
I don't want to put any other names in.
Favorites,
I don't want any other names in your head.
Okay, I hear you.
And
Lewis, I want to end by asking you.
We don't want to tie.
Lewis, I know you've taken time out to be here. I really appreciate it. It's lovely to talk to you. I feel like you're a friend of the show now. It's great to see you. Your brother will obviously give his first Christmas message, and we'll wait eagerly to hear what he has to say. But I want to give you the chance to end our chat today by let's have an alternative Christmas message from you, the Pope's brother. What would you like to say to people at this Christmas? It's a very familiar story when it comes to debt. The banks win, you pay. Fees and phone calls pile up every month unless you fight back. PDS Debt has helped hundreds of thousands of people cut debt and put money back in their pockets. If you're struggling with credit cards, personal loans, and medical bills, PDS offers custom options to help you get out of debt fast. They'll go beyond the numbers to understand your unique situation and craft a personalized plan. There's no minimum credit score, and they have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't wait another month. Take back control in 30 seconds. Get your free personalized assessment and the best option for you at pds.com/peers. That's pdsdebt.com/peers. pdsdebt.com/peers.
Oh boy, I'm not very popely, so.
What would you like to see with the world in 2026, Lewis?
Well, obviously we all want to see all these wars all over the place end, the nonsense in Gaza, and it just, again, it's cliche to say whatever, world peace, right? We're striving for that. Trump is striving for that. I also just, with my newfound, I shouldn't say newfound, with my return to being full-fledged Catholic, I got to say, we need to remember what Christmas is all about, which I've kind of started to do this year. It's not all about me and what I'm going to get. It's what can I give to others, what can I give to the poor here in Florida, in Port Charlotte? What can I give to, to the church, to the homeless? It's just, remember what Christmas is for. Keep the faith. Whether you're Christian or not Christian, the spirit of the season is to be loving and friendly and warm to people. So that's what I would say. Remember the spirit of Christmas. Have a happy and joyous Christmas with friends and family. And at the same time, with the start of the new year, make the new year your best year yet.
What a great message.
What I can say.
Lewis, that's a wonderful message of hope and optimism.
Thank you.
And a reminder of what Christmas is actually about. And you're so right to say that. Please send my very best to your brother. You're the only person that can do that. And say that from this Catholic across the pond in London, I think he's doing a great job.
I'll just add one more thing with your comment about telling my brother about and letting him see this, that I've returned to the church.
Yeah.
He's well aware that when we were there in October, this is going to go out over public broadcast, but I asked him to hear my confession.
Really?
And I spilled all the beans to him about my past 50 years.
Wow.
So he's well aware. That kind of confirmed what he thought, I'm sure, and now he's aware that I'm back. That's wholeheartedly
amazing.
Back. So
that's amazing.
That's cool.
It's when I went to school, in Catholic school years ago, the thought was, if you've done this or that, a normal priest can't hear your confession. You have to go higher up the ladder. So when the stuff started sinking in, I thought, well, I'm not going to bother my parish priest, as he's going to send me to the bishop. The bishop's going to send me somebody else. Since my brother's now the head guy, I'm just going to go to the head guy and
get it all out there.
Yeah.
Maybe I have some family influence. I don't know, but I said, hey, would you hear my confession? And he said no. And I was dejected and heartbroken, but eventually we worked it out, and he did, and I'm back. Confession. People that don't go to confession don't know what it's all about. I can tell you, this is off the topic, but it was like a 1,000-pound weight lifted off me when I did that.
Wow.
And got back in the good graces of the church. It was incredible. It had been obviously a really long time since I'd been to confession, but yeah, it was very spiritual, mind-lifting, eye-opening, and just brought me right back center square in the church, and I just feel 1,000% better.
I love that.
Even with my health.
That's cool.
Lewis, I love that. And just, I mean, I don't want to pry, but you said you spilled the beans. How spicy were the beans?
That's what I wanted to know.
Well, I'm not going to do a confession on the
We don't have much
broadcast
time.
here, okay?
We're uncensored. We're uncensored.
Let's just say
There may be a lake behind you right now, but he ain't fishing, my friends.
yeah, no, it's if you can imagine it, everything short of murder and incest, I've probably been there, done that.
I love this. I just love the idea of you doing confession with your brother, the Pope, and it's everything but murder. I just think that is, as someone who has two brothers, the idea of doing that, or listening to one of them do it, would be absolutely riveting. Lewis, what an amazing story. I'm so happy for you that you did that your brother facilitated that for you, and you're back with the church. I think that's just that alone is an amazing message this Christmas. So thank you very much indeed for being so candid and for rejoining Uncensored. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Very happy to do it.
Great to talk to you. All the very best. Let's come back to the panel. I mean, wow, that was amazing. I mean, Ben Ferguson, that's quite something, isn't it, to hear that?
I think it's cool. I also think it's a really neat message for people that maybe have, broken apart from their faith or even their family because of things of the past. I really genuinely love the message that you can overcome and there are second chances in life. I think all of us know people that have made mistakes. I made mistakes. Everyone on this panel, I'm assuming, is not a crazy narcissist and knows they've made mistakes in life. And sometimes it takes years to repair those relationships or to come back to your faith. But I really hope that story, somebody watching right now sees it and says, maybe it's time for me to go back. Maybe it's time for me to go back to my family and make amends. And to know that they're talking every week and they're so different. They're clearly very different. That's what families are. Families are very different. Yeah. My sister and I are extremely different, but we come together on a lot of cool things. And I just got to say, there's a lot of hope, and I hope that brings hope to a lot of people right now watching. Yeah,
Nerdrotic, what did you make of that? I mean, it's not often you get the Pope's brother revealing something of that enormity really for him and his family.
I didn't think it was good timing, but I would have loved to have asked him to slip in on that weekly conversation. Ask your brother what the Vatican knows about UFOs. That would be great. That'd be awesome. No, I love the confession aspect. I'm a grateful recovering addict, so we do our own form through the 12-step program, and him talking about that weightlifting, I think lifting off your shoulders and doing some horrible things in the past, which I have done. I really can identify with that. I think it's a good thing, particularly with the Rob Reiner situation that we just saw and the importance of family. And I think it's great that there's a conversation. What the good thing out of that tragedy is we're seeing a conversation about recognizing addiction, recognizing flaws in our family, and I see people directing people to Al-Anon, which they should definitely go if they have an addict in their family. That's been on my mind, obviously, the last week, and the horrible tragedy of that. But there is. Sometimes it's not too late. There is a second chance. There was for me in my life. I was homeless. I went to prison, and I was able to pull myself out of it. And so many people can. So to hear them say that was brilliant.
Esther.
I didn't know that's where you and Piers met, by the way. Homeless and on the streets. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, we had a bunch of birds.
We actually met in prison.
I
wondered. But Esther, if you think about some of the warring families, like Harry and Meghan with the royal family, with the Beckhams with one of the kids now gone rogue with his American wife and so on. There's a lot of it out there. And then when you talk to families, I mean, I'm always struck by, I have a massive family and we always have a big Christmas and we all get round and we all get on pretty brilliantly, actually. But the number of people I know who have a lot of issues with their families is huge. Yeah. Either they have really small Christmases because they don't really want to see them, or it's always fiery, or they've fallen out with them, or there's feuds going on for decades. And when you talk about it, you realise how prevalent that is. So to hear Lewis there, the older brother of the Pope, that moment, would you hear my confession and then spilling out 50 years of stuff that he'd obviously felt bad about to his brother, who's now the head of the Catholic Church. That's quite an amazing thing to hear, actually.
And I think it just shows, despite all the differences, he holds his brother in quite high estimation. Because I think most people would not do a confessional in the first place, and certainly not to a family member, unloading 50 years worth of sin, which I'm sure adds up to quite a lot to him. So, relationships always have their strifes, but I think there's always that one person in the family that aims to bring people together, and it looks like in this case it's his brother who really kind of put his ego aside and any things that he might personally be feeling, especially from an older brother who admitted he beat him up as a kid, to let him unburden himself.
Yeah, Ernest, let's end with you. I mean, what did you make of that? It's an amazing interview, wasn't it?
Yes, I have a lot of questions.
Your face, first of all, I just couldn't.
Okay, so several things. I mean, for one, I'm just curious, what were those sins? But he'll never confess that to us. I'm just like, seemed like he had a lot going on, but I'm not going to judge. But I think for me, it's just, I wonder how the church is going to shape his own politic, because it's really hard. Like, he's talking about love and peace, but then saying that that's the same agenda of a man who isn't as peaceful. And so I find that to be interesting.
Have you got MAGA members of your family, Ernest?
I doubt.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
And if you did,
I could have predicted that.
Every single member of your family is left wing.
Hold on. Let me answer this. You asked me a question. Okay. They're not MAGA. I have some folks that are conservative,
right?
But they're not MAGA though, right? And so,
what would you do if they were? What would you do if they said, "I'm MAGA"?
Listen, we will learn how to deal with those problems internally. What would you do if you had a woke member of your family like myself that you're claiming I'm woke? What would you do?
I think it's more common than you think.
Do you know what? I've got members of my family who are very woke.
I think we've got.
I've got very woke members of my family, and I have very right-wing members of my family.
Well,
and when we all
come
together, we have a great old tear-up, and nobody really cares. It's like, it's fine.
Right. So let me say this: they're not MAGA. That's a whole nother extreme, and I think
I've got some relatives who would make MAGA look like a bunch of choir boys. Trust me.
Right. So I would say we have people who have different spectrums, right? And if anyone knows the community, there's spectrums, right? You got the pragmatic progressives, you got the moderates, you got those who are conservative, but they're like pre-Trump, so they're like Bush adjacent, Condoleezza Rice adjacent type of conservatives. But not MAGA though. They at this point the plot is.
So they could
just be lying to you, by the way. They could just be lying to you.
Yeah. Also, it's interesting. It's interesting you pointed out the ones who dragged the world into an illegal war in Iraq, for example. But you have a problem with the MAGA lot who don't believe in foreign wars.
The conservative lot, even if they're not MAGA, probably did vote for Donald Trump because the option with Kamala Harris didn't seem appealing either. So I don't know if that's much better.
Anyway,
they may not be MAGA, but they voted for Trump.
One day, Ernest, we'll have Christmas together. All of us. We'll have a little uncensored Christmas party. What a great panel. Thank you all very much. I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a very happy and prosperous 2026. And look forward to you all being back on Uncensored in the new year. Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas.
This week we learned of the shocking deaths of Hollywood director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle. Their son Nick has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and could face a death penalty if found guilty. Well, joining me now is actor and comedian Harry Shearer, who was a longtime friend and collaborator with Rob Reiner. Harry, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so sorry for your loss. I knew Rob a bit. I interviewed him actually 3 months ago. We had a wonderful interview. I thought he was a great man, an amazing filmmaker, and it was a terrible shock to me. So I can't even imagine how close friends of his like you must be feeling, and we'll get to that. For the audience who may not be aware, you played the bass guitarist Derek Smalls in This Is Spinal Tap, and you co-wrote that with Rob. And you're also in The Simpsons, providing voices for characters including Mr. Burns, Smithers, Ned Flanders, Reverend Lovejoy, and Principal Skinner. So obviously a lot of people do know you, but that's to put in context, in particular, your relationship professionally with Rob. First of all, can I just ask you, where were you when you heard what had happened?
I was in my house here in New Orleans. My assistant came in and said she had read this sort of headline on TMZ, and my first thought was TMZ. So I tried to find other sources of information on the internet, and the early versions struck my wife, Judith, and I as if it had possibly been a break-in, a burglary, which seemed unlikely in that neighborhood. But we then, followed the story as it developed overnight, and it just got more horrifying by the moment.
When you realized that it was almost certainly their very troubled son, Nick, who'd spoken very publicly about all the problems, as indeed his parents had, what did you feel about that? They'd obviously had a very, very long number of years of problems with this son of theirs, and it seems to have ended in the most appalling manner imaginable.
Yeah, it's strange because I knew Rob. Originally, I was involved with another member of his family, and so I was over at the house for several occasions, many occasions, where his late father, Carl, and Mel Brooks, two members of comedy royalty, were there, and I saw the environment in which Rob grew up. But despite that, and I knew Michelle, of course, I was not privy to any of the stuff about Nick, so it came. I knew Romy a little bit, and I had not met Jake, but the stuff about Nick just came as a horrible surprise. Rob had kept it fairly much private, and my collaborations with him were more on a comedy level than on a family discussion level.
As an actor, a director, a producer, he did everything. Rob Reiner, he was really one of the great Hollywood figures, which, given he was the son of a great Hollywood figure, was extraordinary, because that often isn't the case. But he certainly proved to be the exception to that normal rule. How good was he? I mean, he had a run of movies which almost defied belief, because not only were they all classics, one after another, but they were all different genres. It was like he could do everything.
He was a great storyteller. He was a great collaborator. I think he brought a general sense of storytelling to whatever genre he was working in at the time. That was one of his chief roles with Spinal Tap, and with the sequel, Spinal Tap 2, was, we would sit in a room, Christopher Guest and Michael McKeon and I, the two other members of the collective, and bat around ideas and try to make each other laugh. And Rob would write down the ones that clicked on 3x5 cards and put them up on a board in our room, in the room we were in. And it was his job to take these funny ideas and to shape them into a movie. And so storytelling was his art, even in that situation where there was no script. We were improvising these movies based on these ideas that were on 3x5 cards that Rob wrote down. So, I saw very quickly that was one of his, aside from comedy and the fact that he was funny, one of his great gifts was storytelling and the ability to shape a story.
What was your favorite of all his movies?
Oh, come on. I have to say this is Spinal Tap. It was his, the sad irony is that I was involved with his first movie and with his last, but this is Spinal Tap. Opened so many doors for so many people, including Rob. That was his first movie, and it opened the door to all the ones that followed. And it also spawned this series of things. The Office sort of was inspired by the improvisational nature of Spinal Tap, and so much American TV comedy, at least, has been done in mockumentary style since that movie. Although the difference is those, including The Office, are scripted, and This is Spinal Tap really was improvised.
It's a fantastic film. When I asked him, because actually Robert Redford had died just before I interviewed Rob back in September. And I'd said that Redford had told me years before, when I interviewed him for CNN, that his favourite of all his films was Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, but he hated the song Raindrops Keep Falling on Your Head. And he used to eat away at him, having listened to this song. And we were laughing about it. And I said, rather poignantly now, and ironically, I guess, but I said to him, if it was you that suddenly left us, Rob, which I hope doesn't happen anytime soon, I said, but how would you like to be remembered? and of all your work. And he said, actually, Stand By Me was the one that he would like to be remembered by. And I said, When Harry Met Sally, because I said it's like almost a perfect film, I felt. And he told me a lovely story, which was that he has so many people come up to him who would say they time When Harry Met Sally on New Year's Eve, they start watching it at about 10:30. So they hit the New Year's Eve scene in the movie exactly at the right moment. Yeah, exactly at the start of the new year. And he loved that. And then there was a lovely twist to it, which I hadn't seen before, where there was an interview he gave quite recently, I think, where he said that originally it was going to end unhappily when Harry Met Sally. They were going to end up not together because he was single at the time and feeling a bit bitter and twisted about his single life. And then actually he met somebody, fell in love. It was his wife, Michelle. And as a result of his change in mood about this, he ended it happily. Yeah, which I love that story because that turned out to be the love of his life.
Yeah. Rob had been single for about 10 years at that point. I had known him at the time of his first marriage. And yeah, it's an amazing story come true.
I want to end with a sort of disagreeable part of the whole outpouring of tributes to Rob, which had been extraordinary from around the world. But one outlier was President Trump, who published this, in my view, very offensive post on his Truth Social platform.
A screed, if you will.
Yeah, and it was just, obviously, look, I knew that Rob Reiner had said a lot of bad things about Donald Trump. It was no great trade secret. But it just struck me that for the President of the United States from his office to lay into him in the way that he did, within 24 hours of Rob being murdered by his own son in a terrible family tragedy, it seemed very crass to me. What was your reaction to that?
My reaction was it was not beneath the dignity of the American presidency. It was beneath the dignity of a local dog catcher. And yet, I thought, this is who this man is. Takes every development in the world around him or that he's privy to and turns it into something about himself. And the extreme narcissism of that moment seemed to me very, very fitting with whatever else I understand about the man.
And the irony is that a clip from my interview with Rob that went viral as a result of what Trump did was when I asked him about the murder of Charlie Kirk, and he said, look, I didn't agree with him politically, but violence is never, and he was very like, violence is never, you can never accept it, particularly political violence, and he condemned it unreservedly, which was just, and there was a contrast in reactions to two brutal murders.
And he expressed support for Erica's decision publicly to forgive the murderer. It's a jarring and amazing contrast to what happened out of the typewriter of the President of the United States. Yeah, I think it was a great shame. I wish he'd delete it. Harry Shearer, what a pleasure to talk to you. I wish it was under happier circumstances, but thank you for paying tribute to your great friend. Thank you, Piers. Piers Morgan Uncensored is proudly independent. The only boss around here is me. If you enjoy our show, we ask for only one simple thing. Hit subscribe on YouTube and follow Piers Morgan Uncensored on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And in return, we will continue our mission to inform, irritate, and entertain. And we'll do it all for free. Independent, uncensored media has never been more critical, and we couldn't do it without you.